Hi, welcome back, preschoolers. So we've done a couple of different activities over the last few weeks about shapes. And shapes are important because as we learn different shapes, we're able to identify different things. And sometimes shapes are used as symbols, so they're going to help us with our writing, they're going to help us with our reading. They're just really important for you to know, okay? So we're going to continue to practice some of our shapes. So I know at your house, you have already been given materials, some dry erase markers, and you have your names. I hope you've been practicing writing those. If not, make sure you get your markers out and practice writing your names. You can write right on top of the letters that are laminated for you and then wipe them off. So today you can either use your dry erase marker in the back of your name laminated sheet, or if you want, you can use your little notebook and pen or paper. So make sure you get those out. We're going to practice drawing our shapes today. So we noticed a couple of different things about some of our shapes in our story today. We talked about a square, do you remember? And one thing we noticed about a square was that, I'm going to draw it again, but I'm going to draw it this way so it can be a little more accurate for you. And a little bigger too. Remember, we said a square had how many sides? Do you remember? How many sides does a square have? It has, let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4. A square has 4 sides. I'm going to write that down here. 4 sides. And how many corners do you remember? Count them with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. It has 4 corners too. 4 corners. Those are some things you'll want to remember about a square. We're going to practice making our squares. So the way that you make a square, get your paper and your pencil or crayon out, or you can get your dry erase in place if you want to work on it there. So the way that you make a square is you draw a line down, then over, up, and back to the start. You can check and make sure you've got a square by counting your sides, 1, 2, 3, 4, and counting your corners, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you've got 4 sides and 4 corners and all the sides look equal and even, the same length, you've got a square. Now what happens if I do this? Do you remember this shape from our book? If 2 of my sides get kind of wonky and long, that's a rectangle. So it's not really a square. For a square, we've got to keep those sides nice and even. Keep them to be about the same length, okay? So, with me, I want you to practice doing some squares. We're going to go all the way across the paper making squares. Down, over, up, and back together. Down, over, up, and back together. Down, over, up, and back together. Keep going. Down, over, up, and back together. Down, over, up, and back together. Down, over, up, and back together. This one got a little silly and wasn't so straight. But that's okay. That's why we practice. Let's do one more. Down, over, up, and back together. Can you help me count the squares that I made? We'll take these ones off on top because those were just for practice, right? We'll take those practice ones off. Let's count how many I made. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I made 7 squares. Let's do another shape. So I'm going to erase our square that has 4 sides and 4 corners. We had notes over here to remind us of what that shape was. And just for fun, I'm going to switch colors too. You can use the same color, or you can switch. It's up to you. I'm going to use my pink next. I used my black for the squares, and now I'm going to use my pink for our next shape. So the next shape I'm going to have you work with me on is a triangle. Do you remember the triangles from our book? They had 3 sides. 3 sides. And 3 corners. 3 sides and 3 corners. So I'm going to draw a shape. You tell me if it's a triangle or not. Okay, ready? Is that a triangle? No, that's not a triangle. That has too many sides and too many corners. Okay, I'll try again. Is that a triangle? You're right, it's not. That's a circle. It doesn't have any sides or any corners. Oh, I know. Almost. What about that? Is that a triangle? Let's count the sides. 1, 2, 3. It has 3 sides. Let's count the corners. 1, 2, 3. It has 3 corners. It's a triangle. Now wait, I've got a trick question for you. Do these 2 look the same? They don't, do they? This one is long on this side and long on that side. But look, it still has 1, 2, 3, 3 sides, and 1, 2, 3, 3 corners. So is that a triangle? It is a triangle, you're right. Triangles are a special shape that don't all look the same. Some of them might look like a tent. Some of them... Miss Trisha is having a little bit of a challenge. Some of them might look like a whale's fin. Some of them look really tall and thin. Yikes. My lines are not going on so straight when I hold this. It's so wobbly. Let me do it this way. 2 sides, 3 sides. Some of them look very tall and thin. Ooh. Like the poke on top of a building, a big tall chapel. Steeple. Okay. Let's go back to where our squares are. And now I want you to practice making one triangle. You can either do it, let's do one right on top of our square, okay? So we'll go straight across and then up and down. 1, 2, 3 sides, 1, 2, 3 corners. So straight across, straight up, straight up. There's another triangle. And look, when we put a triangle on top of a square, what does that look like? What does that look like? It kind of looks like a house, huh? You can make your triangles up above if you want, and you can make them any way that you want. Let's make some more triangles. We've got 4 more spots here. This one I'm going to go straight up and then down and over like a flag. And this one here is going to be really tall, and then straight across. This one here, it's important that our sides stay straight. This one here I'm going to make really small. I'm going to make one more triangle. 1 side, 2 sides, 3 sides. Can you help me count how many triangles I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7 triangles. Do you have 7 triangles? Okay, this is the last trick I'm going to show you today. We made a square, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Did you know if you cut a square in half from one corner to the opposite corner, then it makes 2 new shapes? Let's show. It looks like 2 triangles they got pushed together. Do you see? Okay, you keep practicing your squares and your triangles, and I want you to have one of your grown-ups send me a picture of the squares and triangles that you've been drawing, okay? I'm going to add it to your portfolio. I want to see if your squares have 4 sides and 4 corners, and if your triangles have 3 sides and 3 corners. Sound like a good plan? Okay, you practice and then have your grown-ups email me a picture of your square and your triangle. Okay, I'll see you soon. Take care.